Narito ang programang totoong-totoo, Tambayan sa DWIZ. Programang magliliwanag ng ilang mahahalagang mga issue. Tambayan sa DWIZ. At ngayon, narito na sila upang maghatid ng saya sa bawat Pilipino. Sa programang Tambayan sa DWIZ.
Magandang tanghali. Ako po si Trixie Cruz Angeles and this is Tambayan. Mukhang may issues na naman po tayo sa ating YouTube. Hindi na naman searchable ang YouTube live natin. Pakiayos naman please. Parang awan niyo na. This is the second time that this has happened. But in the meantime, please be patient. We're on Facebook Live. So, DWIZ text line, just in case you want to text in your comments, 0999-376-6768. Ulitin po natin, 0999-376-6768. Today is Thursday, the 26th of November. Tomorrow, it's Thanksgiving sa US. And sa atin, meron din tayong tradition before. Tradition. We had a holiday called Thanksgiving, which was, if I'm not mistaken, set in September. Either September 21st. Diba? Tama ba yan? Which coincided with the birthday of the former president. And if September was how do you call this? Controversial month para sa atin. Kaya September was the declaration of martial law. September 11th pala yung Thanksgiving. So the Thanksgiving Day was supposedly set on the 11th. Pero wala po kasi tayong tradition na gano'n. Of course, you can set a Thanksgiving Day. A day na itatalaga natin kung kailan magbibigay tayo ng pasasalamat sa mga biyaya or sa for something that has happened to us or something that we can be thankful for. So you don't have to have a background of pilgrims arriving in our shores para magkaroon tayo ng Thanksgiving. Which I think, di ba, marami tayo kasing kinuha ng mga tradisyon galing sa US na hindi angkop or at least walang kahalintulad sa atin or at least hindi masyado. Halimbawa, nitong nakaraan na Oktubre, o actually, bisperas ng Nobyembre, mayroon tayong All Saints and All Souls Day. Ang traditional po na ating ino-observe during those times ay ang pangangaluluwa. Pero lately, yung mga so-called villages dito sa cities at minsan dun sa ibang mga malls ay nag-o-observe ng tinatawag na Halloween. However, iba rin pagka nag-a-adopt tayo ng mga practices. Some of us think that it's fun and dressing up in costume. Well, yeah, I agree that this is fun, di ba? Pero as a practice, as a custom, parang hindi siya angkop or at least merong disconnect dito sa atin. So, it's Thanksgiving in the US and although meron tayong katuwang na September na Thanksgiving during the Marcos years, wala tayong background as to how their Thanksgiving began. So, in the US, there are several attempts kasi na i-colonize ang what is now the United States. So, nanggagaling sa England yung mga tinatawag na, well, initially, they were called pilgrims, pero actually, they were settlers or colonizers. Nung pumupunta sila doon, in the attempt na, yun nga, gawing colony, yung territory na yon para sa Inglaterra, in the name of the crown. Yung first na nag-succeed, yun nga ang tinatawag natin mga pilgrims, and they had Thanksgiving because they were able to successfully cross the ocean at saka nakapag-establish sila ng colony na tumagal. Before that, there were other colonies na hindi tumagal, and in fact, yung sa Roanoke, if I'm not mistaken, hindi nga alam, malaking misteryo dahil nag-disappear na lang yung mga tao nung dumating yung next shipload of people. Hindi nila alam kung ano nangyari, kung nagka-massacre ba o lumipat lang o hindi na nila mahanap. Ang mga archaeologists po ay naghahanap ng bakas ng mga pangyayari doon, and one of the prevailing theories ay yun nga, baka inattack sila ng Native Americans or namatay yung iba dahil sa sakit and so on. Basta nag-fail yung mga previous colonies. So yung pagpapasalamat nga dun sa subsequent one, supposedly, ay dahil nakapag-survive sila. Ngayon, marami ring mga hindi na rin naaangkop para sa US na mga practices na nakatali diyan sa Thanksgiving nila na hindi na angkop dito sa current na panahon natin, lalong-lalo na very sensitive na tayo sa mga cultural differences, katulad ng pagtrato ng unang mga settlers doon sa US ng mga Native Americans, which we know wasn't exactly justifiable, at least not in modern terms. So yun yung natin. As always, lalagay po natin while we greet our friends and family na nakatira sa US ng Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully, hindi na naman natin gagawin katulad ng Halloween na buong buo ay ginagaya natin pero wala namang konteksto. So, kung kailangan balikan, ang konteksto nga ng Halloween ay bisperas, dito sa atin, bisperas ng araw ng mga santo. Kaya nga undas, 'di ba? Una Dia de los Santos. So pero dito sa atin, kung magta-Thanksgiving tayo, dapat naaangkop. So one of the practices, which is a form of Thanksgiving, alam niyo, yung Panagbenga Festival sa Baguio is a celebration of life after the earthquake, a celebration of survival, and also Thanksgiving for what they had left after the earthquake. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga ganitong practices, mga kostumbre na ganito, ay may pinanggagalingan. May pinanggagalingan na common na experience, at yung common na experience na yun ay nagkakaroon tayo ng rites and rituals pertinent to that, or nakakabit dun sa mga sa kostumbre na yan. Merong history that is involved. Yung ating mga, yun nga, pagka buong-buo tayong gumagaya, katulad ng ginagawa natin sa Halloween, pero wala naman po tayong konteksto, medyo parang invented history ang nangyayari. Ano ang invented history? Iba po ito sa historical revisionism. Yung gumagawa na tayo dahil hindi na natin naaalala yung ating kasaysayan, and this happens in many instances, iimbentohin mo na para lang meron ka tayong nakaraan. So, there was a time, sinasabi nila, there were some officials na gusto nilang palabasin na yung mga balanghay na, kasi dati ang paniniwala pa natin ay may migrations, waves of migration na nanggagaling, let's say, sa Malaysia, sa Indonesia, at nakasakay sila ng mga balanghay at nagsettle dito. So, meron daw royal families na naging bunga ng mga waves of migration na ganon. So, ngayon po, after several decades na nagko-conduct tayo ng archaeology dito, alam po natin na hindi na po totoo yun. So we don't really need to invent these things para meron tayong i-celebrate sa ating kasaysayan. Meron tayong mahahanap sa ating mga practices kung we take the time and the effort lang para kilalanin natin yung mga ating ninuno, yung sarili nating kultura at yung mga pinanggalingan nito. That is why heritage conservation is one of the most important practices of a thriving nation state. Sineselebrate natin yung nakaraan natin kasi this is what makes us different. It provides us with part of our national identity. Di ko pa rin po nakikita di ko pa rin ma-search yung sa YouTube natin. Gayon pa man, I hope everybody on YouTube is well and doing good. Nakikita ko po yung mga comments na nasa Facebook, and so far, hindi pa po yata nagre-register yung mga sinasabi ko. So, what am I saying? I'm saying kasi, lately, nagiging issue yung things like historical revisionism. Hindi ko mahanap talaga. Pakitawag na lang. So, historical revisionism is an issue. Ang historical revisionism, ito yung pag-ulit ng pagsusuri natin dun sa isang event o period sa ating kasaysayan, given the new evidence or new thought ngayon. Halimbawa, yung pagkakakilala natin ng ating, for instance, if we're going to take a particular period, or let's say the most controversial one is martial law years. Meron tayong, of course, meron tayong mga sources noon, mga current events that we rely on to tell us what happened then. Pero yung mere sequence of events is not enough. Ina-analyze din natin. Halimbawa, we know that Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law on such and such date. Pero there was a time na hindi natin alam kung ano yung pinagbunga nun. Ang sinasabi ni Pangulong Marcos at the time it was the communist insurgency. However, natabunan yung interpretation na yun o yung report na ganon na it was the communist insurgency and the threat of a communist takeover that was the reason for the declaration of martial law. Ang sinasabi ng mga nanalo in 1986 in EDSA is that kaya dineklara ni Marcos ang martial law is to perpetuate himself in power para matuloy-tuloy yung pagka-presidente niya dahil matatapos na yung term niya para hindi na siya kailangan magbitiw. Ang sinasabi ng opposition at the time, inimbento lang daw niya yung communist threat or the communist boogeyman kung kaya't dineklara niya ang martial law. So ngayon na meron tayong mga ganong klaseng pananaw, ganong klaseng mga ebidensya o testimonya, we now take everything and then have to analyze again. Historical revisionism doesn't mean we're changing the truth. It means that we have to revise in accordance with new evidence and with current thought. 'Di ba? Ang pagre-report kasi po natin ng ating history isn't just the sequence of events. It's also what drives people. It's also motivations. It's also this place in history, how it was affected by the past and how we are affected by it. So, ang dami-daming pwedeng pag-usapan sa kasaysayan. Kailangan ba tayong mapako sa iisang interpretasyon o iisang pag-aanalisa ng ating kasaysayan? Dapat hindi. So, revisionism is not a bad word. It is something that we have to do constantly. May bagong ebidensya. Alam nga naman, i-ignore natin yung ebidensya na yon. May bagong pananaw. Halimbawa, we talk about the great things, about government, and these are the things that happened. What about how did it affect lower income families? How did it affect the middle class? Ano yung mga kwento ng mga taong hindi natin naririnig? Ano yung epekto nito, yung mga pangyayari sa Maynila, dun sa mga pangyayari, let's say, sa Davao City during that time? That's not historical revisionism. That's listening to more points of view. Diba? Magandang tanghali, Attorney Ahmed.
Hindi maganda, ang traffic.
Ay, grabe talaga. Okay. On the other hand, there is also new evidence completely where we have to write about things that we did not discover before. So archaeologically speaking, let's say yung pagdidiscover natin na meron pala tayong Homo luzonensis dito. Ibig sabihin, entire different species of human beings that we have to write about, that we have to discuss, that we have to consider in its place in the evolution of people. O, meron tayong 700,000-year-old na archaeological site na merong kinatay na parang rhinoceros at anong klaseng tao ang gumawa nun? We know that Homo luzonensis appears for the first time sa ating fossil record about 60,000 years ago. So, ano yung klaseng tao na nandito 700,000 years ago? Ito yung mga palaisipan na naghahanap tayo ng ebidensya and we keep writing about it. Okay? Mati ka muna.
So, magandang tanghali. Ang importansya po ng revisionism ay kung magrereklamo ka against revisionism, you also have to have the opposite attitude, which is to allow the multiplicity of ideas and theories of things. Kasi kung reklamo ka ng revisionism, na wala ka na lang ipapayagan na baguhin about history even if there is a fact na magsusupport niyan, hegemony yan. Ibig sabihin, ini-impose mo ang anong sa tingin mo ang mabuti, ang maganda, dahil ikaw yung may poder, ikaw yung may power. So that the attitude of anti-revisionism, okay, historical revisionism must also come, okay, must also coincide with a similar attitude but the flip side na hindi rin tayo papayag na kung ano yung nakasanayan ng karamihan na katotohanan kunyari, yun na lang at yun na lang. At every time na may magsasabing mali yan, ay revisionism na ang titawag sa kanya. Okay? So that's two things. That's historical revisionism and that's hegemony.
Diba? So, bakit natin pinag-uusapan ang kasaysayan ngayon? Because even as we speak, history is being written. For example, 30 to 50 years from now, ano ang magiging lugar ni Rodrigo Duterte sa ating kasaysayan? For that matter, ano magiging lugar ni Leni Robredo? Ano ang magiging
naman lugar yun eh.
Well,
dapat sa mental hospital yun.
I agree. If not dun sa back in grade school to study again.
Mag-aral siya uli. This time ayusin niya. Kasi yun, may internet, high-tech na ngayon. Mapupo lang siya sa bahay niya. Marami siyang matutunan. Mag-google ka.
Diba? So, pero kumbaga, according to the times, and dahil may mga bago tayong naririnig na boses, for the first time, halimbawa, from 1986 and until very recently, isa lang version ng kasaysayan ang naririnig natin tungkol dun sa martial law years and the years after that. And as a matter of fact, pag tinignan mo, and my problem here kasi was that I was looking at the textbooks, parang hindi tayo nag-uumpisa bilang bansa until dumating ang Kastila dito, which is of course incorrect. Kasi ang haba-haba, meron tayong archaeological site na 700,000 years old.
Hindi siguro bansa. Because as a bansa, there is that feeling, that idea of idea. But we were a people. We were trading with each other. We would almost talk the same language.
It's like we don't exist before then.
But before the Spaniards came, parang wala. Parang mga hayop yung mga nakatira dito.
In fact, nakiusap ako at pinaalala ko kay DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones na parang awan niyo na, hindi na dapat lumilitaw yung mga land bridges dun sa ating mga textbooks or modules on Philippine prehistory. At wala na yung mga, waves of migration, balanghays and all of that. Magandang tanghali, JP.
Magandang tanghali kay H. Otley Bayer. Yun natin pinag-uusapan natin.
Kasi Otley Bayer. Pero so, bow pa rin ako because Otley Bayer was one of the first talaga to even attempt to write about Philippine prehistory, yung paglagap niya ng mga ating mga ethnographic materials and all that. Meron siyang impact sa Pilipinas. Yun lang nga, marami siyang mali na theories.
To the contrary, the first American-made textbook on Philippine history was written by David P. Barrows, the second education secretary, who was not a military personnel.
Yeah, because
so David P. Barrows was the first civilian education secretary in the Philippines.
Okay.
And he wrote the history of the Philippines prior to their coming, based on Spanish text na kinonvert niya, in Americanized niya, and they presented how beautiful the Philippines was. Wala kang makikita masyado dong bakas ng kasamaan ng mga Kastila.
We're not saying Otley Bayer was the first, Kasi na siya 1960 na 1950 na yung niya.
And wala rin ako nakita land bridges doon. And worse,
yun na si Otley Bayer nga yung land bridges.
Si Bayer yung nag-invento nitong mga bagay-bagay na ito. At ito ay lumaganap nung panahon na mainit ang usapin ng ating claim sa Sabah.
Sa Sabah.
Yan.
Okay, so meron itong regional politics involved na unfortunately, sa assessment ko lang, personal assessment lang, Mama, generational assessment. If you talk to older Filipinos, they do not know about these things.
The languages.
Even my father doesn't know about that. Okay? Kasi hindi yan tinuro sa kanila. And kapag magbasa ka ng mga kung paano mas tayo mga presidente natin noon, basahin mo yung mga sinulat ni or even descriptions about President Macapagal, President Marcos. Paano umasta ang Pilipino noong panahon ng
Sabak claim.
We were superior to the Malaysians, Indonesians, lahat superior tayo. Until we were taught that
So, wait, anong period tong pinag-uusapan natin?
Mafilindo, pagbasahin niyo yung mga Mafilindo. We were the Maharlika spirit ng Maharlika. Panahon pa ni Diosdado Macapagal, kung makapag-utos si Diosdado Macapagal sa diktador ng Indonesia na si Suharno at the time? Suharto or Sukarno?
Sukarno yata yun.
Basta yung kasabayan yung diktador. Kung makautos. Kung makapagsabi.
Wait, you're talking about the spirit of Maharlika.
Which is also
Anong source natin for that?
Okay.
Of course,
It's a construct.
Maharlika
It's a construct.
Okay, ibig
which
sabihin,
came from Rizal.
Explain mo muna kasi explain kasi delikado yan eh.
Okay. No, I'm not saying that there is a Maharlika class.
Okay, guys, listen up.
Ugali lang nila yun.
When we say that Maharlika is a construct, it means we have made it more than what it
It's defined as.
Yes. Kasi ginamit ni President Marcos yung konsepto na Maharlika tayo, incorrectly equating it with a
Royalty.
Privileged or
Nobility.
royal class.
Yes.
Okay? But the historical record says that the Maharlika were not that. Okay? They were not royal. They were, however, the aristocracy.
Okay.
And they were still how do you call this? Beholden to the leader.
Alam mo, nung tawag natin sa kanila ngayon, cronies. Yan yung Maharlika.
That's the closest
Pero,
that we can,
cronies
we can
na powerful.
equate.
Powerful talaga yan sila.
Okay. Now, kung cronies man yung Maharlika, panahon ni Macapagal, ang feeling mo, kung cronies yung Maharlika, dilawan yung mga Indonesians at saka yung mga
Okay, yes.
Okay? So, in other words, para ma-simplify lang, dinalagyan lang natin ng parallelism para lang ma-gets natin yung konsepto. Panahon ng 1960s, mataas talaga ang noon ng Pilipino pagdating sa foreign policy.
Yes.
We were dictating things. We were even a major factor whether or not si Malaysia ay bibigyan ng independence o hindi.
Correct.
Okay? We had a
Malakas
say.
ang boses. We had a say in that. Totoo yan.
Until we were taught na tayo pala ay descendants ng mga Malaysians at saka mga Indonesians. Saan ang galing yan?
Is not necessarily true.
Okay, kaya nga, yung konsepto na dapat kang mangupo sa iyong ninuno, at ang ninuno pala natin ay mga Malaysians at saka Indonesians sa wave theory.
Ni Otibayer.
Nauna daw yung mga negrito. Respetuhin natin yung mga negro.
Okay.
Na mga maliliit.
No racism meant here,
Which is good. Which is good, Huwag tayong maging racist. Pero, yun bang may turo sa atin na ang ninuno pala natin ay mga Indonesians at saka Malaysians, mawawala ngayon yung yabang mo.
Yan.
Kaya ngayon tayo,
So that was the intention.
makarinig ka ng,
To defeat
huy,
the Sabak
Indonesian
claim.
yan. Ay, Indonesian. Must be someone I have to respect.
Really?
Kasi ninuno.
Go to the streets.
I
Go to
suppose
the
it must
streets.
be,
diba? I know, it translates to all foreigners actually, no? Kahit na nga Nigerian Kahit na nga taga Zimbabwe, na economically, culturally, mas inferior sa atin kung babasahin mo yung not culturally, but yung development-wise,
definitely not culturally,
economic development-wise, is more inferior than us, mga taga Ghana, mga taga-Africa, ibang parte na mas mababa sa atin yung pero ang Pilipino, pag tinapatan mo ng foreigner, nangungupo kasi ang tinuro sa atin, ang ating ninuno are migrants, are foreigners.
Na walang katutubo dito.
Na walang katutubo dito, na
na
walang tao sa Pilipinas, which is so wrong.
It is.
Patunayan na yan ni Felipe Jocano. Diba?
Okay.
With that,
Patunayan na ni Homo luzonensis.
ang dami. Ang daming Filipino na mga researchers.
Which is probably around the same time as the evolution of Homo floresiensis. Ciensis. Floresiensis.
Florin Helbel.
Helbayensis.
Sis,
Kung intellectual pygmy, oo.
Oo.
Kasi ang floresiensis maliliit. They were, yun nga, parang, of course, you don't use the word.
Hindi Theodore Te ang pangalan ng mga ano.
Grabe kayo!
Si Teddy Te, iba yun.
Ibang species ba yan?
Iba.
Ibang
Grabe
species,
kayo.
ibang genus.
Oh,
Okay.
iba yun. Ano yun? Objection, Your Honor!
Hindi, I don't care yan
Tayo
eh.
sa
I don't
chair.
care.
I don't care.
I don't care about your case.
I don't care
Ayan,
about you.
ganun ba yun?
Kaya nga ako hindi...
Sinabihan niya.
Sinabihan
about
ka
your
ni,
case.
I don't
ni
care
Prof.
about your
Teddy
case.
Te na I don't care about your case?
Yeah.
Sinabihan din
That's
niya ako
very
na, who are you?
interesting.
You are just an intern. Pero ang ginawa ko ay hinanap ko yung isang kaso doon na tinago ng isang intern
Okay.
doon sa tuktok ng loft ng ula.
Yan ang mga historical
Office of Legal
revisionism, di ba?
Yan
Yung
yun.
tinatago mo yung
Hindi,
katotohanan.
they'll consider it historical revisionism kasi yung sinasamba nila, yung
Yun
kinoconsider
lang
nilang
alam nila.
Ay, pandak
legal
pala.
greats.
Ay pandak pala.
Ay,
Panda ka
grabe
pigmiya.
Grabe kayo.
Pero di, professor ko sa criminal law, yun I learned a lot from him. Pero pandak talaga siya. Ano
Pero
problema
grabe
dyan?
Yung panda ka pigmiya, pandak na pigmi pa.
Masama
Intellectual
yata.
pigment.
Grabe, di ba?
Masama yung pagka-define ng pisda na yan.
Oh, panda ka pigmiya, pandak na pigmi pa.
Nakakain ba yan o masyadong
Saan
maliliit?
yan?
Sinarapan. The smallest fish in the world.
World.
Okay,
Panda ka pigmiya.
Pandaka pigmea.
Which can be found
Lake Buhi.
in Bicol.
Lake Buhi.
Lake Buhi. At nakakain yan.
Nakakain.
Kailangan mo ng net na napaka-fine.
Okay.
Gaganunin mo yun dun sa lake. At pag nakakuha ka ng isang dakot na ganon, napakasarap
Mahal yun.
nun pag nilagyan mo ng ng parang
Ng itlog.
ukoy, parang ukoy.
Oh, itlog at saka arena.
It's like everybody's
Okay.
in a conspiracy to make
So
people-
now, binabalikan ko lang yung historical revisionism na sinimulan mo. May application yan sa pang-araw-araw na buhay.
Correct.
Hanggang sa current, hindi lang history. Kasi may mga tao na ang truth para sa kanila, yun lang naituro sa kanila.
And
Na
then,
pag sinabing
ano,
PEDPAR yung solusyon, PEDPAR lang yung solusyon. Kahit na yung issue ay walang kinalaman sa PEDPAR, ha?
ito pa, nakanood lang ng YouTube video.
Okay.
Naniniwala na
Ni Professor
tungkol sa
sino
mga,
yun?
kung ano-anong tribo.
Orion?
Di ba?
Hindi, yung isang professor nila na Professor Irk, sino yun? Whatever that guy is. Professor Irk, yung kinukot nila lagi, na expert daw. Na hindi ko nga kilala. who the hell
we
he
still
is.
have to invite Orion dito. Just to
Hindi.
speak not about federalism,
No.
but about himself.
No, okay, so ang punto dito is truth. Truth. Walang truth is momentary. Wala nang yung pagkatapos niyan, memories na lang 'yan. And the closer we can get to the most logical, most acceptable and most kumbaga probable na pangyayari para maintindihan natin yung pinanggagalingan ng ngayon. Hindi dapat nakakahon yan sa kung ano lang dahil naisulat lang ito ni ganitong eksperto. Yun na yun.
Yan yung hegemony. Yan yung isa na lang ang opinion
Na pwede.
na sundin at everything else is revisionism. Revisionism is not a weapon that these people in power can just use, or not in power but in the opposition whose egos are bigger than the majority, na lahat na lang ng bagay na sasabihin revisionism.
Okay.
Tapos yan ay genre ng yung tinatawag nating maling paggamit ng terminolohiyang ad hominem. May mga taong gumagamit ng word na ad hominem yung argument mo without even understanding what ad hominem really means. No? Yung pagmumura, ad hominem daw. No, that's cursing.
Correct.
Di ba? Hello, I am saying, yes, I'm saying putang ina mo, but that is not ad hominem.
That is actually
attacking you because
according
that's
to the Supreme Court, an expression of frustration.
correct. Di ba?
Ganun.
That's cursing.
Ay,
That's
ipaliwanag
not an
natin
argument, di
ad
ba?
hominem. Nag-argue si JP, halimbawa, na ang itong cellphone ko ay kulay puti. At ako naman sasabihin ko,
Hindi yan puti kasi
hindi
pangit.
puti dahil wala kang sapatos.
Yan.
Hindi yan puti.
Hindi ka nga makabili ng sapatos, wala kang pera.
Paano
ang
ba
ad
naging
hominem.
puti yan? Ganyan. Yan yung ad hominem, yung walang kinalaman, tapos inatake mo na lang yung tao.
Yun.
Oy, Trixie, mali ka dun sa sinasabi
Kasi
mo.
suspended lawyer ka.
Kasi,
Ganyan.
kasi pangit ka.
Kasi pangit ka, kasi babae ka.
Walang
Yan ang mga ad
kinalaman.
hominem. Okay? Ngayon, yung iba nagsasabi ng historical revisionism yung ginagawa mo without even thinking about what you're saying. do you have facts to support your claim? Your new claim, di ba? Your new interpretation, meron ba yung basis? That is not historical revisionism. That is a new interpretation of historical facts. Pero kung sasabihin ko, ito talaga historical revisionism siguro to. Nasasabihin ko na sa totoo lang, yung si President Joseph Estrada, nung maging mayor siya ng San Juan, ay pinalitan niya ng alien eh.
Okay.
Ayan ang historical revisionism. Kasi wala naman talagang katuturan, walang katotohanan, di ba?
Okay.
So yung mga walang katotohanan, walang basihan niya, posibleng mag-fall dyan sa historical revisionism. Nagagawa-gawa ka lang ng panibagong kwento dun sa lumang kwento na wala rin kwenta.
At walang katuturan, walang connection, walang ebidensya.
Yan.
Kasi
bridges.
ang movement ng isang put on, okay, panggap.
Lost tribes.
Panggap na mga paniniwala kagaya nitong Maharlika ay nagsisimula lang sa isang idea na sige, tawagin natin yung mga sarili natin Maharlika and let's consider ourselves royalty and nobility. Kahit na in the next succeeding years okay, sige, sabay lang tayo dyan pucha, siya yung nakaupo after a decade
nagiging truth na yan.
Lalagyan na yan ng rason ng mga tao in that decade. Na kasi yung tito ko close ni nung panahong araw di Maharlika siya. So ngayon dapat powerful tayo, hindi tayo pwedeng inapi-api lang ng mga ganyan diyan.
So may palabas niyan, di ba?
So hanggang sa after 2 decades, wala na, entrenched na yan. Nasasabihin nyo na si Ninoy Aquino ay hero.
The lie becomes the truth.
Na kung sa katotohanan, siya lang yung pampagulo dito sa Pilipinas at pagpasimula nung secessionism na Muslim at saka ng NPA rebellion.
Rebellion.
Pero hero siya.
Katulad lang yan ng claim na merong Communist Party of the Philippines na naglalaban ng komunismo. Na okay, sinabi nila yun na communism yung pinaglalaban nila without us really digging into what they were actually saying. And now it is becoming clear if you study what they're saying actually, that what they were fighting for was not communism.
What?
Okay, they just named it communism, but it's not.
Okay.
Kaya nga hindi sila, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It was a rebellion.
It's a rebellious deception.
They call it something because at that time, ang sikat ng mga rebelde ay yung mga
komunista, sila Fidel Castro. Pogi yun Fidel Castro.
Sa El Salvador.
Ito yan,
Sino isang ginagawa ng t-shirt lagi? Si
Che Guevara. Who was not even Cuban. He was Argentinian.
Mao Zedong. Okay? Stalin. So, sumabay lang sila sa uso. Tinawag nilang communism yung kanilang movement, but you will no doubt. Why? Were the other communist movements not supporting them?
Okay.
Because they know that what they were fighting for was not communism at all.
Fidel Castro was not a pure communist ideologist. Sa kanya, iba, hindi ako sumusunod. Nakipag-away sa China, nakipag-away nga siya kay Nikita Khrushchev.
Yes.
Di ba?
In other words, itong nakita ko kasi yung post mo, si Sara Ilago, nakikita mo doon na naiyak-iyak sila sa kanilang pagiging red tag.
Yung babae niya.
Ito is historical revisionism to, ha? Ito historical revisionism ang ginagawa nila. Na sinasabi nila na hindi sila konektado sa kahit anong movement ng Yan ang historical revisionism sa totoo lang.
Ito ang pinakamalala. Historical revisionist ka na nga, bobo ka pa. Sasabihin mo ba naman, I am in danger of being threatened.
Diba?
You
In danger
moron.
of being threatened, ha?
Yes, she said that.
In danger of being threatened. Idiot ka. Congresswoman.
Teka, I'm sorry, hindi ko na
Di ba ang hirap arukin? I am in danger of being threatened.
Kasi yung threat is already the endangerment, and then you're endangered of being endangered. Okay,
Yes, magbabalik ang tambayan. Oras natin, 12:37 ang tanghali.
Tambayan sa DWIZ. Muli nating balikan. Tambayan sa DWIZ.
Nagbabalik ang tambayan. Kasama pa rin sa Intilan, JP Varela, Attorney Osam Ahmed Paglinawan, ako si Trixie Cruz Angeles. And you were saying, JP?
Yes, babalik tayo dun sa revisionism na ginagawa ngayon ng hindi makakaliwa na ayaw maragtag. Okay, talagang ang hirap na nilang intindihin ngayon. May komunista ba o wala? Kasi na ituro sa atin, na ipamukha sa atin, nakita natin yung mga patay kung kayo mga taga-probinsya. Have you seen those truckloads of yung mga inambush na mga army, mga inambush na mga minasakar na mga pamilya, dadalhin sa punerarya sa syudad nyo? You've seen those things done by the communists, by this movement. Okay? And now they're saying there's none. Even Joma says there's none. Okay? So that is the biggest form of historical revisionism. And itong mga taong to ang pinakaunang sisigaw ng historical revisionism kapag binago mo yung interpretation why martial law was declared at all. Okay? They will accuse you of historical revisionism if you will try to prove na hindi naman pala ganun kasama ang pamumuno ng mga Kastila dito sa Pilipinas. Hindi, they will accuse you of historical revisionism kapag ipapakita mo kung ano yung mga kahalagahan ng mga kontribusyon ng Amerikano sa kanilang pamumuno dito sa Pilipinas. Because they really want to paint every colonial master natin have been evil. No, they were not.
Unmitigatedly evil. Ibig sabihin, from day one, kahit yung mga praile na nag-conduct ng, nag-studies, at saka
survey ng botanical,
lahat yun ay demonyo para sa kasaysayan. Never mind nilang
never mind that they want to supplant all of those things with another foreign ideology that was written by an idiot Marx who didn't even see Russia and China in his lifetime.
Who was writing it out of his while scratching his balls in his dacha. Because mayaman naman yun eh.
But naghirap siya nung sinulat niya yung the Communist Manifesto, and he was just living on his cigar.
Yeah, and there was nothing into it, di ba? The one who gave it body were the succeeding thinkers like Engels and Yun yung problema ko kasi wala akong nakitang ganyan na plano or pag-iisip man lang na may kinalaman siya kung paano mo patatakbuhin yung politika at ekonomiya ng isang communist state. Kung sakasakaling ang manalo sila sa kanilang long, protracted, short-deck war. Okay? May kanta yun, di ba?
Okay. Continue.
Okay, now. So, they want historical revisionism by painting Joma as a victim of political persecution, and that everyone who is called an NPA or a communist is being red tagged as if it is. As if the term even exists.
Okay.
I even looked at the etymology of that term, red tagging. Alam mo kung sinong nag-invento niyan? Marvick Leonen in a speech somewhere.
Dissenting?
Which he lifted from a newspaper article that there's such a thing as red tagging in the Philippines. Alam niyo ba yung red tagging? Napakaganda kayo ng red tagging. Kasi ang ibig sabihin ng red tagging, pumunta ka sa Dubai, pumunta ka sa New York, pumunta ka sa... Sale yun!
Red tag sale.
Pabagsak yung presyo.
It's more than 50% off pag red tag sale.
The term red tagging, everywhere you go all over the world means good for the consumer.
Yes.
Kasi sale ang ibig sabihin ng red tagging. Dito lang sa Pilipinas, naging krimen ang red tagging.
Si Marvick Leonen yung nagpa-renovate ng bahay, ng cottage.
Sa
Supreme Court.
Ano yun siya?
Ano yung narinig ko?
It's the headline of the Manila Times today.
Di mayayari na naman si Joe. Doon ba si Joe Marcanlas?
Hindi naman yata.
Anong ginawa?
Paliwanag
niyo po. Ano yun?
Hindi, yun nga. Pero ibig sabihin, shots fired na talaga to on both sides.
I don't know if I would consider that shots fired because it's Jomar is reporting.
Tama naman yan. I will defend his right to do that.
Okay.
So,
ano daw ginawa ni Justice?
Justice pala.
In July of 2020, he
July.
requested.
Pandemic na.
Yeah.
Panahon ng pandemic.
Nagpa-renovate habang
Hindi. Pwede yung panahon ng pagbubuhos ng di ba, ng dolomite? Na dapat daw yung mga budget ay dapat sa pagkain ginagamit.
Oo.
Okay, anong pinagamit dito?
Okay.
About at the cost of 4,970,623 pesos and 71 centavos.
Okay. Anong gagawin dyan
Sinoko
sa
ko
pera
na.
na 4,971,453 and 41 centavos?
623 and 71 centavos.
Ang galing. Ano gagawin dyan sa 4
Talaga
million?
kita. To the renovation of the cottage assigned to him, Cottage G.
Cottage?
G.
Cottage. Di ba yung cottage sa mga beach resort lang yan?
Na-
Meron din ba sa...
diba? Cottage.
Sa Baguio may
Yeah,
resort.
It's really
Eh,
weird why we use the word cottage. And
Hindi na lang
Teka,
gazebo. Ganyan.
So resort ito ng Supreme Court. Tama? May summer
No,
resort
there's
sila, di ba?
Summer
resort.
compound.
ng
Compound
Supreme
of the
Court.
Supreme Court.
Sa Baguio.
At may mga
Bawat justice, may
Sausage
mga
doon.
dyan.
May mga bahay
Tigil-tigil
na
silang
naka-assign
sausage,
for
ay
each
cottage.
of the
Cheese.
Okay.
justices. Meron ding
Cottage
compound
cheese.
ang Court of Appeals, ha?
Oo,
Meron din.
Meron din ang
Pero tingin ko
DepEd,
share
meron
kasi
din.
ang daming Court of Appeals justices compared sa Supreme Court, 15 lang sila.
Oo,
marami.
So Court of Appeals, ilan sila?
Meron
Marami
din
nila
ang
eh,
agriculture. Nakatira din ako dyan sa isang beses sa agriculture.
Most
yung mga,
government agencies have
Meron
a,
dyan. Pati ang Navy, pati ang
Tawag
Army.
natin.
a counterpart office in
Yes,
Baguio.
okay.
Kasi to conduct business there
the
dati,
summer capital of the Philippines.
pero hindi.
Philippines.
Actually, in the 50s,
Oo.
talagang it was like a tradition that government agencies would transfer their operations to Baguio. Kasi
Right.
masyado nga mainit dito.
Alright.
So all of them have
Wala pang aircon nun, di ba? Wala pa si carrier.
Oo.
Ni.
So in this case, so meron naka-assign for the justices.
So, gumastos or nagpa-budget or nasimula na ba yun?
Na-bid
sabi?
out na.
Na-bid out na.
Nag-posting na eh.
Okay. So,
Pero wala
sa
pang
halagang
ground break.
5 million.
4 million.
4 million, 900,000.
Ni-request niya nung July, November. Yun, nakapost
May
na
fiscal
siya.
autonomy,
Baka
di ba?
entitled.
May fiscal autonomy.
Meron.
may
Hindi
fiscal
DBM yan.
So hindi yan hindi yan sila
DBM.
hindi yan sila nakatali yung tawag diyan fiscal
Proposed
autonomy.
renovation of Cottage G.
Na-approve na daw yung budget, di ba? Pag napunta na sa kanilang pera na 4 billion,
Bahala na
ilang
sila
bilang,
doon.
bahala na sila kung paano na-disburse yan. Palakasan na lang kay Chief Justice.
Chief Justice.
Well, in this
Parang
case,
UP.
I'm pretty sure it's the NBank that agreed
Of course.
to this.
But para
Pero ang ibig
I
sabihin
thought
niyan,
Chief
5
Justice,
million.
ano yun, parang hostage ba yung mga kaso?
Subject to approval pa lang ng NBank.
Ay, tapos.
Hindi pa na-approve.
Hindi pa
Hindi pa
tapos.
na-approve.
Nagre-request lang pala si
Nagre-request pala.
Justice Marvick.
Sa panahon.
Matagal naman kasi. Matagal naman kasi mag-request. At
Oo.
ang mangyayari pag na-approve yung request,
Hindi, kasi
i-revise yung kanyang house.
Yung request, naka-attach na yung
Yung plans.
blueprint,
Of course.
yan,
Natural.
yung master
Natural.
plan, at saka yung yung how do you call this, yung costing niya.
Okay,
But of
okay,
course,
okay.
you must understand, mga nakikinig, mga nanonood.
Ay,
Itong
kasi-
discussion namin na to
Oo.
is about the article, not
Yes.
about Marvick Leonen.
Yes, no. Hindi natin tinitira yung justice ng Supreme Court. Ang pinag-uusapan natin is yung yun nga, yung revisionism. Kasi ito, revision
Ng kanyang bahay.
ng kanyang bahay.
Cottage.
At saka yung revision ng definition ng red tag na may kinalaman si Marvick Leonen dahil siya
Sa
ang
dissenting
nag-invento
opinion
nito.
niya.
Ginamit niya sa isang Supreme Court decision yung word na red tagging as if it exists. Na
In this
samantalang sa
country.
buong mundo, ang red tag always means positive for the consumers. Because
Because they could not use the term red baiting anymore. It's too close to McCarthyist.
Hindi, tsaka pag bait kasi parang
You're not baiting
vacuuming,
eh.
parang pagdaga naman yan. Okay, you're not baiting them because you're not asking them to come out. They're already out.
Yeah.
So, you're just calling them what they are.
So ang sinasabi ni sino ba itong cute na komunista?
Yung maganda,
Yung lalaking cute.
lalaki.
Si Teddy Casino pala.
Maganda nga.
Grabe kayo.
Magandang lalaki.
Una cute yan si Teddy kasi nag-lipstick eh.
Magandang lalaki nga.
I'd say pa cute.
Pangalawa,
Sige, ha?
sabi niya na hindi daw kalaban. We do not, whoever the we is, we don't know. Baka siya at saka
Spelling
kanyang
ng we,
mga nag-lipstick.
W-I-I.
We do not consider that. Although, ito ang sinabi niya, rephrase lang.
Okay.
Although they are committing rebellion, which is a crime, or the crime of rebellion, we do not consider them enemies. Okay. Ano ibig sabihin yan? When you are a citizen of a country and there is a group of rebels that kills your soldiers, your policemen, burns private property of legal businessmen in this country, and they are not considered your enemies, what the hell are you?
Kaya nga. Hindi sila communist daw.
Christian.
Kaya nga, dahil Christian sila.
Christian yan siya.
Ang gusto ko sanang mangyari nung Senate hearing, hindi ko ito na rin. Meron sanang nagtanong. Di ba para maging Kristiyano, tayo, Katoliko, merong merong promises.
Okay.
Ang unang tanong, do you reject Satan?
No!
Di ba?
We don't reject Satan. Okay.
Ikaw kasi si Satan.
Okay, next.
Do not reject me.
And all his works. Okay, paano kung tinanong itong mga nire-red tag ko, no? Do you reject Joma?
No!
And all his works?
No!
And all his empty promises?
No!
Do you believe in the Republic of the Philippines?
No! There are enemies!
Di ba?
Why? Bakit natin masasabing enemies yan? Kaya nga makipag-peace talks tayo sa kanila eh.
You peace talks only with the enemy, di ba?
Oy, Teddy! Yan ang epekto ng lipstick, brother.
Di ba? Where's the logic?
Ang lipstick nilalagay lang sa labi, di kinakain.
Hindi yan kinasaksak sa ulo natin, brother. Nakalimutan mga ED natin, ano?
ED. Educational discussion.
Educational discussion kung saan tinuturuan kami ng mga ng mga komunista para maging komunista kami. Which is I was already a communist as a child.
Alam niyo kasi mga kaibigan at mga katambay, mga nasa ibang bansa. Kami kasi ni Sir Ahmed, halos magkasabayan kami nito sa UP. Ito yung kinakain naming lunch at saka kasi ito yung panahon na nasa laylayan na ng kasikatan yung komunismo sa UP at marami nang hindi tumatanggap sa kaya naging hard sell sila. So kaya alam namin yung kanilang strategy. Yung mga pangre-recruit sa NPA, dinanas namin yan lahat. Ginawa sa amin yan. Kaya hindi kami nag-iimbento dahil biktima kami niyan, hindi lang kami nadala.
Hindi, anong sabi nila? Hindi kami nag-recruit. You liar! I taught your group how to recruit.
Hindi. Kasi dinaanan namin yan
So, tapos ito the funny part is that
huwag niyo sabing never siyang nangyayari.
Kung makahirit ang Sara Ilago, and guys, please don't tell me na magaling siya umarte. Okay? Utang na loob. Hindi magaling yun. Mukha siyang trying hard. Okay? Kasi when you're
trying hard ka ba namang capture mo yung heart ni Vico Soto?
Yeah.
Ignorante din naman kasi yun
But anyway,
oh my gosh, you have to get them out of the gene pool. Anyway. She was, can you imagine producing more of them? Oh my gosh. It's an argument for birth control.
Ganito yan
Patapusin mo Marisa.
So, ang sinasabi niya, she kept saying na, yun na nga, it endangers our lives. Teddy Casino says the same thing. It endangers our lives. They were saying na, hindi ako NPA, hindi ako rebelde. She's not committing a crime daw. Okay, and therefore she's alleging na lahat ng tumawag sa kanilang komunista or terrorista or whatever is imputing a crime. Entonces, libel na, di ba?
Idiot.
Hindi sila humihirit na kakasuhan ko. Si Teddy Casino, Diyos ko, kabaklaan talaga.
Nagmamakaawa na lang.
I'm not talking about him, ha? Kabaklaan yung sinabi niya.
Muna.
I'm looking for a lawyer because I want to sue these people who call me, who red tag me. Wait. And then Sara Ilago does the same thing.
Wait. Okay lang si Sara Ilago, I can understand.
No, I don't.
Teddy Casino is not even in the limelight. No one is even red tagging him. Why is he including himself?
Nagpapakyut.
Kasi magkaka-eleksyon na. Tatakbo na naman siya. Okay, no one is even red tagging him.
Alam mo, Teddy, laos ka na, brad. Earliest memories ko nitong una.
Teddy, alam mo, maniniwala ako sa'yo Maniniwala ako sa'yo kung makukumbinsi mo yung mga anak mo na pumunta sa underground.
Sige nga.
O maging aktivista katulad mo. Yung mga tipong aktivista na kasali sa bayan, yung nakikita niya, yung mga kasama niya, mga kaibigan niya, nire-recruit into the underground.
Actually,
coming back in caskets.
Maniniwala ako kay Teddy Casino kung may papakita niya na ginawa niya yung ginawa ni Nelly Sancho. Namundok.
Namundok talaga.
Ikaw, Teddy, if you are going to have a name in history in this country.
Nakapamundok ka na ba?
Naputikan ka na ba, brother? Oh,
Hindi masisira yung designer.
Secretary
labels.
General ka na ng bayan forever.
Hindi,
Kaya lipstick ka na lang dyan.
Okay. Final about revisionism, no? All of these organizations, they are representing.
Yes.
All of these movements, they are representing. All of these advocacies they are fighting for are all connected to the left, to the communist movement of the Philippines, to the NPA historically. They want to revise that. Ito ang pinakamalaking historical revisionism sa lahat ng historical revisionism.
Correct.
Na ginagawa ng mga taong nangunguna sa pagsisigaw ng historical revisionism yung pinagsasasabi mo. But what actually they're doing is historical revisionism.
Exactly.
Because kung hindi nila pinaglalaban ang komunismo o kung hindi nila pinaglalaban
May EDSA kaya?
ang tanong, anong pinaglalaban nyo? Si Jesus Christ.
Christian humanist pala sila, sir. Kasi kabutihan ng mga tao kabutihan ng mga businessman, sinusunog nila yung mga bus. Kabutihan ng mga tao na minamassacre nila. So, common good yun para sa kanila. Humanism yun, sir.
Humanism.
Opo.
Or
Christian humanism. Yan sila.
Hindi ko talaga maintindihan So kung wala pala kayong pinaglalaban, tumigil na kayo, tumupo na kayo, tumuwi na kayo sa inyong mga sarili
the
mga
right
bahay.
for their kids to go abroad and study in exclusive and private schools while their own friends take to the hills, wala nang tapos-tapos ng college at uuwi na nakakabaon.
I would like to see dahil in the next elections, dahil sa sobrang masa ito ano ang prinsipyo ng komunismo, sosyalismo? You organize the masses so that they will become your support system.
Final lang ako na tanong kung hindi ka supporter at nag-fund ng mga ganyan, tapos ikaw ay isang congressman, wala kang asawa, ikaw ay dalaga, wala kang nga ring kotse, wala ka ring bahay, magkano sweldo ng congressman? Nasa 100,000 a month?
Hindi, 60. Something
Hindi
like that.
Hindi na 100,000 a month na. Okay? And you've been a congressman for 6 years now. Ang assets mo pa rin, 200,000? Where does your money go?
Socialized na nga pala ang contribution ng mga tao, pati yung kadre, masa. Socialized na po sa NPA, panahon niya ng yung reaffirmation ni Joe Masison. Na kahit na hindi ka lantad, ay ang sweldo mo ay kukunin ng NPA. Ang pinaka mababang assets sa salin sa Kongreso ay si Sara Ilago.
Okay.
Bata, walang asawa, walang bahay. Okay, kita ka lang. Anong pinakagagastusan mo sa 100,000 a month mo na sweldo? Pambili siya ng sir, yung mga ilang armalite mabibili mo dyan?
Copper.
Ayan.
Yung mga minimelt
Kasi bakit wala kang assets hanggang ngayon? Anong ginagawa mo sa pera mo?
Waldas pala to, tanggalin na yan dahil po siya.
Kung waldas ka sa sarili mong pera, waldas ka rin sa pera ng gobyerno. Sabi nga ni Jesus, di ba?
Ayan na po.
Ang hindi mapagkakatiwalaan sa maliit na bagay, ay hindi mapagkakatiwalaan sa malaki.
Pagkakita mo ng mabuti,
gawin mo.
Huwag kang magpatumpik-tumpik. Kristyano ka
Ngayon, Sarah, bakit ang baba ng salin mo?
Tada!
Are you making daya with your salin, or are you really so spending your money so much like 100,000? You don't have kids, you don't have a husband, you don't have a house, you don't have a car. Well, what the hell are you doing with your money?
Gusto mo i-audit natin yung mga pera mo, Sara Ilago, at siguraduhin natin na walang nagiging tanso dyan.
Contribution.
Walang nagiging tanso. Sige.
Moral of the lesson. Dear itong mga humihirit dun sa Senado. Dahil lumalabas kayo, and we're happy to have heard you in the Senate. Sa totoo lang. Kasi napag-usapan namin tuloy yung historical revisionism ninyo. Kasi nabibisto yung lifestyles ninyo. Nabibisto din that, Sara Ilago needs acting lessons. Utang na loob, guys. Do not call her a good actress.
Maitim pa rin ba siya o maputi na?
Bumuti na, baka pwede natin tanungin.
Isang beses lang siya nagtan siguro.
Baka gluta.
Hindi, kasi umitim siya bigla
But do you spend 100,000 a month to make whitening?
Yun nga sweldo.
Maybe not just whitening.
Pero,
full metal jacket.
Kahit na mag-glutatayon ka pa, pag nag-rally ka sa daan, itim ka. Paano? Hindi na siya nagrarally pala.
Hindi
wala na talaga silang pinagkakita.
Pero bumundok siya. Bumalik siya sa
ba't siya pumuti? Saan siya pumuntang bundok? Baka sa Kilimanjaro.
Kasi maputi talaga yan siya.
Regular yung
puti niya.
Even in the mountains.
Pero doon sa picture, biglang umitim. Nagpa-picture din sila tatlo ng
meron sila.
babae na biglang, ang itim sa kailangan
Fake
ko.
pag-iitim para kumari lukmasa.
Ulol! Umayos ka, Sarah.
So utang na loob, ha?
Nuloko mo kami.
The problem with you guys is lumalabas kayo to defend your lifestyle and to defend yourselves.
Tara na.
Dahil sa paglalabas ninyo,
Ayoko na.
kita namin kayo. Maraming salamat sa pagsubaybay sa Tambayan itong araw na ito. Ang Tambayan ang susunod na programa in the Heart of Business kasama si Ms. Marupahati Sarne at Mr. Lito Gagni on behalf of Mr. JP Varela, Attorney Osam Ahmed Paglinawan.
Bye!
Ako po si Trixie Cruz Angeles. We'll see you tomorrow on Karambola.
Tambayan sa DWIZ.